Hi guys, konnichiwa, what's up my Yukijins? Welcome back to my channel. Lately, I've been learning more about fashion brands and fashion history, which I love the most. And this big luxury houses because I'm going to fashion school and I also have my own fashion brand. But while I was learning, I realized something kind of funny. The way Americans say luxury brands and the way we Japanese people say it and the original pronunciation can be completely different, and mostly they're from European countries, and it made me realize, wait, I grew up knowing these brands, but I didn't always know how they were pronounced outside of Japan. So today I want to compare luxury brand pronunciations in America, Japan, and the original language. But I also want to share a little interesting story about each brand and how people recognize those brands in Japan. And just to be clear, I'm not making fun of anyone's pronunciation. Mine is not perfect, and every language has its own way of adapting foreign words. For us in Japan, we use katakana for foreign words, so a lot of brands names become more Japanese sounding. So this is not right or wrong. This is more like fashion, language, and culture all mixed together. Okay, first brand is Louis Vuitton. In America, I usually hear people say Louis Vuitton. So in Japan, we say Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton. When I was growing up in Japan, Louis Vuitton was one of those brands that everyone knew, and even if you're not into fashion, you knew the monogram. All the Yankees, youngsters from your mom's friends, dad's friends, everyone has this monogram. For guys, I usually see it in like black or darker tone, and it has this image of classic luxury rich auntie bag, department store luxury, and also something that people might buy as their first designer bag. For me, that's the case. One thing that I learned that was interesting is that Louis Vuitton started with travel. It was not originally just handbags. Louis Vuitton became known for trunks and luggage, so the whole brand story is connected to travel, craftsmanship, and carrying your life beautifully. There's a one iconic photo of Paris Hilton with those luggages in that LV monogram. I still remember that. It's very iconic. And honestly, when you think about it, that makes so much sense. Even today, when you see monogram, it feels like luxury travel. But in Japan, Louis Vuitton becomes Louis Vuitton. And it sounds so normal to me that when I hear people say it in the French way, I'm like, wait, you mean Louis Vuitton? How do you actually say Louis Vuitton in French? It's Louis Vuitton. If you know French, please correct me. Is it Louis Vuitton? Next brand is Chanel. In America, people say Chanel. And in Japan, we just say Chanel. This one sounds kawaii to me. It's cute because Chanel sounds very Japanese. Chanel as a brand has a strong, elegant image. And in Japan, it's extremely recognizable. Even people who are not fashion people know Chanel. Of course, we know the logo, the perfume, bags, the tweed jackets, which I love so much. It's very classic. It has an image of this elegant, feminine, timeless luxury. One interesting about Chanel, which I learned from the movie, is that Gabrielle Coco Chanel changed the way women dressed. She helped make fashion more uh, feel more practical and modern for women. And Chanel number 5, the perfume, is also iconic because it became famous, one of the famous perfumes in the world. You can tell immediately if someone's using Chanel number 5. That's also why I don't use it. So when Japanese people say Chanel, it sounds kind of like soft and cute, but the image is still very powerful. It is very rich, elegant. It's like a woman walking through Ginza energy. Even for young women, I guess, especially for younger women, it's popular brand. Next is Dior. In America, I usually hear Dior. In Japan, we say Dioru with a ru vowel sound at the end, so it becomes Dioru. In Japan, Dior is very famous. I actually knew it first because of their cosmetics, the lip gloss, perfume, and it has a slightly different vibe from Chanel. For Chanel, it feels more classic and mature, but Dior feels more elegant, romantic, and more like dreamy. If you know Jisoo from Blackpink, Dior made a very special couture dresses for Jisoo, and you can tell that that's the vibe. When you see the dress, you'll know that it's Dior because of that romantic and dreamy. Dior is also very recognizable in Japan, especially with beauty products. One fashion history moment I learned is Christian Dior's new look from 1947 after World War II. Dior introduced this tiny waist and a full skirt, and it became a huge moment in fashion history. I feel like this is why Dior still has that image of romance and femininity. One day I would love to go to that museum they have in France. So in Japan, Dior feels luxury but also soft, pretty, and polished. Next brand is Hermès. This one is kind of abunai. I don't know. I'm not sure how American people say it. Is it Hermes? Hermes. Hermes? Do you pronounce the H in Hermes? Hermes? Because in Japan we say Hermes. 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 But the French pronunciation is closer to Hermes with the H silent, I think. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong. So this brand is really interesting because in Japan, Hermes has a very high class image. Like this is not just a I bought a fancy designer bag. This is more like I have entered a different level, another level. And in Japan, Hermes feels very quiet luxury, very mature, rich, and very hard to get. The Birkin and Kelly bags are obviously very famous, which of course I don't own one, but even if someone does not know every product, they usually understand that Hermes is expensive and prestigious. One interesting thing I learned is that Hermes started as a harness workshop in Paris. So again, the brand did not start as just handbags. It started with horses, leather, and craftsmanship. That explains the brand feels so connected to leather quality and tradition. Also, I think Erumesu sounds so Japanese that it almost feels like a different brand name. So if you only know Erumesu and then someone says Hermes, you might not realize it is the same brand. Next is Balenciaga. In America, I usually hear Balenciaga, and in Japan, we say Balenciaga. This one feels more modern to me. In Japan, I think older generation may know the name, but I think younger people would recognize Balenciaga more through streetwear, sneakers, oversized silhouettes, and logo fashion. It does not have the same classic, elegant luxury feeling as Coco Chanel or Hermes. It feels more edgy, more fashion person, more street style, and sometimes a little chaotic. One interesting about Balenciaga is that Cristobal Balenciaga was known as a master of shape and structure. He was not just making trendy clothes, he was known for changing silhouettes and creating a very architectural fashion, which is my favorite. So it is funny because today a lot of people might think of Balenciaga as sneakers, hoodies, oversized streetwear, but the history is actually very couture and technical. So in Japan, Balenciaga sounds very familiar now, especially for people who follow fashion, but I feel like the brand image is very different depending on generation. All right, the next brand is Givenchy. In America, I hear Givenchy a lot. In Japan, we say Givenchy. The original French pronunciation is closer to Givenchy. I don't know. Please let me know in the comment if I said it correctly. Probably not. This one is so interesting because the spelling does not look like the pronunciation at all if you're reading it with English or even with Japanese eyes. Read it for the first time. I think I said Givenchy. In Japan, Givenchy is known, but I feel like it depends on the category. Some people know it from fashion, from perfume. Some know it from beauty, of course, and some know it because of Audrey Hepburn. One interesting about Givenchy is that Hubert de Givenchy had a famous relationship with Audrey Hepburn. He designed many of her iconic looks, including that long satin black dress from Breakfast at Tiffany, and that connection helped create a very elegant cinematic image for the brand. So yeah, when I think of Givenchy, I think elegant old Hollywood perfume and black dress energy. But when I say Givenchy, it feels so Japanese that I have to remind myself, yes, this is the same brand, Givenchy. Next is LOEWE. It's probably one of my favorite. This might be the most confusing. In America, I've heard people say LOEWE, Louis, LOEWE, and many other versions. In Japan, we just say LOEWE. And the original pronunciation is closer to LOEWE. This brand is Spanish and it started in Madrid as a leather workshop. So again, we have another luxury brand where the history is connected to leather and craft. In Japan, I feel like LOEWE has become much more recognizable in recent years, especially with fashion lovers and people who loves a more artistic, minimal, stylish look. The puzzle bag, the anagram logo, and the clean but creative image feel very popular with people who want something luxury but not too loud. I personally love getting wallet from LOEWE. It's very great quality, and to me, in Japan, LOEWE feels like I know fashion, but I'm not trying too hard. And it is not as universally recognized as Louis Vuitton or Chanel by every generation, but among fashion people, it has a very stylish image. And the pronunciation is funny because LOEWE and LOEWE are technically the same brand, but they kind of feel like two different personalities. Okay, bonus brand is Comme des Garçons. I don't know if I said it right, but this one is very special because it is a Japanese brand, but the name is French. So in Japan, we say Comme des Garçons, Comme des Garçons. The French pronunciation is closer to Comme des Garçons. I don't know. Please let me know the correct pronunciation in the comment section. But so this brand was founded by Rei Kawakubo and it is one of Japan's most important fashion brands internationally. But here is what is interesting. In Japan, a lot of people recognize the play line because of the heart logo with the eyes, and you might see it on shirts, Converse collaboration, cardigans, and casual pieces. But the main Comme des Garçons brand is much more conceptual and avant-garde. And it is not just cute heart logo fashion, and it is very experimental, sometimes strange, sometimes dark, sometimes not conventionally pretty, but that's what makes it important. So I think Comme des Garçons is a perfect example of how a brand can be recognized differently depending on how deep you are into fashion. Some people see the heart logo with the eyes and think cute streetwear. Fashion people see Rei Kawakubo and think conceptual, anti-fashion, Paris runway, and fashion history. This is very important.
It's going to be on your test.
Honestly, this is what I love about learning fashion brands. The more you learn, the more you realize that a logo is only the surface. Behind every brand, there's a history, language, culture, innovation, and a whole identity. So after learning all of this, I realized that pronunciation is not just pronunciation. It shows how fashion travels. A French brand goes to America, then Japan, the social media, then vintage stores, then fashion school, and every culture gives it a slightly different sound and image. In Japan, Louis Vuitton becomes Louis Vuitton, Chanel becomes Chanel, Hermès becomes Hermès, Balenciaga becomes Balenciaga, and somehow they still all mean luxury, but the feeling can be different, which I find really interesting. So now I want to know from you, how do people pronounce these brand names in your country? And which one surprised you the most? Also, if you want, I can make this a series. I can do Italian brands next, Japanese designer brands, of course, or fashion brands that Americans pronounce differently. Well, I gotta go on a date. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Miyuki deshita. Mata ne. Bye bye!